If this headline from Jason Rantz wasn't so ridiculous, it'd be funny. I mean, it's still kind of funny, but it's so ridiculous. It's so preposterous. Tree equity job lands you $60.83 an hour. You can make that top money. 6-figure income. A tree equity job. Really? Really? Tree equity. What is that? Well, let's find out. Let's get into it. City of Seattle is offering here's that headline. Yeah. Oh, it's so bad. City of Seattle is offering a 6-figure salary for a tree equity initiative manager. What's your title? I'm a tree equity initiative manager. You manage the equity of the initiative and your trees. Yeah. If you show a bias towards a cedar tree over a spruce, your arborism isn't welcome, and this job isn't for you. Let's look at some of the crazy stuff. I mean, this is the job offering I found on City of Seattle in Glassdoor. So it's a $12 million federal grant. $12 million federal grant for tree equity. So to be successful in this role, you are committed to, this is what you're committed to, for almost $61 an hour, 6-figure salary, environmental justice. What does that mean? Can you tell me what that really means? What's the basis there? What's the baseline for, we've achieved environmental justice? What a code word for nothingness, right? Just some virtue signaling code words for, environmental and justice. Let's throw more words in there. Let's just have a little word soup, and we're going to feel really good about ourselves as we plant some trees, right? We're creating the canopy. We're expanding oxygen levels. And I have no problem with that. I spent a fair amount of time in my garden. I spent about half the long weekend in my garden, just making sure things don't die. Yeah, I'm committed. I'm committed to the environment. I mean, I'm committed to growing stuff in the environment. Therefore, I have an environment. And since I am trying to get things to thrive and live, I believe in justice. I don't. I mean, the whole thing is just let's just virtue signal a bunch of words. We're going to all pat each other on the back and go, you guys really made a difference. We're helping. We're helping so much. This is great. Okay, so that's number one, environmental justice. Building authentic partnerships with, here's the absolute racist part of this job. Building authentic partnerships only with Black people, only Native people, and Indigenous and people of color. So BIPOC people. Plus, they got to be poor, got to be people with low incomes, they got to be immigrants and refugees and English language learners. They can't know English. So if you deal with anybody outside of Black, Native, Indigenous, people of color, people with low income, immigrants, refugees, and English language learners, then, you are in violation of this job. That is the straight up definition of racism, isn't it? Yeah. You're excluding other races from a job. Yeah. You're excluding individuals from working with other races, I should say. Let's get the racism straight here. Facilitating shared goals and priorities. Facilitating shared goals, priorities, collective action. What in the F is that? Collective action. What kind of collective action? What are you talking about? Who knows? Who cares? You get almost $61 an hour. Who's not going to take that job? I don't know. It's something about trees and, environmental justice and, hug a tree. Yeah. So we got collective action and delivering outcomes in a political and dynamic environment. What about the forest is political? What about the environment is political? Isn't that what you're doing? You're trying to get the canopy over neighborhoods that don't have the canopy? Is that not kind of what you're doing? What does that have to do with who lives there? You know what I mean? And just make sure you got trees everywhere. How about that? What about that? And dynamic environment, implementing work plans across silos and connecting individual efforts to a greater vision. What a load of crap. Connecting individual efforts. We're all individuals, but we're going to come together as one for a greater vision. A greater vision of what? Greater vision of what? Tell me. To be effective in this role, you have to manage complex, multifaceted programs and initiatives with community focus. I thought we were planting trees. No? Am I off here? In a political environment, I thought we were racially profiling planting trees. I thought that's what we're doing, because you can only deal with, some people, right? Built strong relationships across agencies and organizations that encourage equity, collaboration, and accomplishment of shared goals. Again, you're talking doublespeak with really nothing. You're talking nothingness. You're just, just nonsense. This is just loaded with nonsense. Found ways to respectfully and successfully navigate contentious issues and find common ground despite differences of opinion and perspective. Isn't that the basis of any damn job when you get right down to it? How much of a team player are you? Not much? All right. No. Instead, we're going to load it. We're going to word it with found ways. Please note this job advertisement is not designed to cover or contain a comprehensive list of activities. Oh, that's good. Qualifications. Good Lord. Do not care. Do not care. I mean, it's just such nonsense. This is what City of Seattle has just got a boner for, this kind of thing. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous, isn't it? This position earns up to almost $61 an hour and allows activists to undo environmental injustices disproportionately impacting communities of color. And we're supposed to Jason goes on to say, we're supposed to pretend this is due to racism. Yeah, the trees aren't in the neighborhood because of racism. Okay, yeah. Oh, don't plant one there. No, we don't like them. The tree equity movement is part of a tapestry of contrived social justice causes pursued by progressive activists seeking hero status. It's totally what it is, right? It fits under the umbrella cause of environmental racism. Again, I ask you, what is environmental racism? It's like, what? You talk about what? This movement attempts to more evenly distribute trees to underserved communities. The lack of tree canopies and green space in Black, Asian, and Latino minority communities is due to institutional racism, according to progressives. Sorry. What? How? Show me the correlation. I'm a real estate guy. You actually need to show me some math on how that works. Show me how Black, Asian, and Latino majority communities, because of institutional racism, have fewer trees. Yeah. Your leaders didn't plant any? I'm just going to throw that out there. Don't like the trees. Historically, don't like the trees. That's not really due to racism, is it? No. In Seattle, city leadership can't merely plant more trees in areas where they're lacking. Oh, no. They have to make a political point. Meanwhile, they push away qualified applicants because if you haven't met that criteria that we just talked about, you're not wanted. Yeah, you're not wanted. There's obviously nothing wrong with planting more trees, like I said, and offering green space where little exists. Absolutely. Who doesn't want a little greenery in their life? But this whole notion that it's all based on racism, yeah. This benefits communities regardless of the race or ethnicity of the neighbors. Yeah, green is good, right? Instead, you got to go down this road of, it's virtue sector. We'll talk about how great we are. We're making a difference, and the canopy, and green, and environmental impact, and environmental justice. It's a worthwhile cause, even if it's less important than addressing the homelessness and drug crisis crushing some Seattle neighborhoods. Yeah, so if you can't fix homelessness, which is an utter blight on the environment, you've got used needles. You want to talk about toxic. You got used needles with people's blood in them and oftentimes are contaminated. Yeah. You got needles. You've got human feces. You've got urine. You've got human trafficking. You've got sex trafficking. You've got stolen goods. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. You got people peeing and taking a poop everywhere. You got people doing illegal activities day in and day out. You got women being raped. I mean, it's not uncommon to read through a story. Somebody will talk about, yelling out. They'll hear yelling out in the middle of the night, "Get off me." You know what I mean? It doesn't take a lot of imagination to kind of understand what's going on there. So you've got these virtue signaling environmentalists who can't seem to figure out how to fix homelessness, but they're literally going to turn the corner on the environment getting too warm, getting too cold, whatever it might be that the crisis of the hour is. Because we've been hearing about this for decades and decades, right? And what has really actually changed? Yeah. But this reeks of unbearable virtue signaling. Indeed, as part of the position, as is the case for all city employees, the Tree Equity Initiative manager must play a role in ending institutional and structural racism. How are you going to do that when you're planting some trees? How are you going to do that? What kind of difference are you making? Just go out and plant the damn trees. I don't care. And is that worth $61 an hour? Hell to the no. But since you're a manager, okay, whatever. Shouldn't that be about a $40,000 job? Go out and plant some trees and help some other people plant some trees. Yeah. Get them going. And get the seedlings going during spring and then transplant them and thin them to 1 per 6 inches and let them go. And you got to keep watering them. And during the grow season, you want to put on some fertilizer. Maybe I should apply, right? Maybe I should apply. I could do this job. I'd make a difference. Radio. City of Seattle is obsessed with everything, approaching everything with an activist lens. Everything is racist, isn't it? Oh, yeah. We wonder why we don't have any cops here. Interesting, right? And it's signaling to conservative-minded potential employees that you shouldn't submit an application. I should not submit because I don't have the right mindset to, take care of all this, planting of trees and communities that clearly have been the, butt end of racism, apparently. This strategy allows city leaders and staff to earn social currency for being part of a progressive cause célèbre. They dutifully put their progressive-minded commitments in press releases, blogs, on their personal social media accounts so that their like-minded woke echo chamber of friends can celebrate them as heroes. You done a good job. Nice job. There's a nice pat on the back for you. Well done. Yep, we're really making a difference here. Yep, we're not really changing the degrees of the environment, but, that huge encampment over there, it's still looking really bad, but that tree over there, where was I? I was with Andrea Suarez from We Heart Seattle. And I remember thinking there was a guy who in the homeless encampments was literally planting trees and telling people not to, do drugs on his trees. And it was like, you got one guy making a difference, planting trees. He's got his little tree thing going on. And then you got all these people with tents just absolutely littering the F out of the hillside. It's on steep areas. It was Lower Kinnear Park in Seattle. Yeah. So you've got this notion of, and people doing some good things. I, was behind the tree guy because who doesn't want more trees in your forest? If that's a thing, hey, I'm all for it. But when you're virtue signaling and you're excluding groups of people, that's racism. That's what it is. When you're doing that, then it kind of defeats the whole purpose, right? Because the whole purpose is for you to talk about what a great person you are because of your virtue signaling and what you're doing for the environment. You're doing this, you're doing that, you're making a difference. Why don't you get out there and, sweep up some trash? Why don't you go out and clean up some needles? Why don't you get some of these homeless folks out of the environment they're in, which is our parks? They're living in our parks, dumping needles, garbage, feces, urine, you name it, wherever they want, because that's what they do. And you're talking about planting some trees? Oh, Sean, you need a balance of these things. Now, I want to see the homeless encampments cleaned up first. I want to see that priority number one. Then you can move on to this other ridiculous stuff. So you don't get that stuff cleaned up, it's always going to be there. And that's not where we want to be. No. But in a city like Seattle, you want to be able to virtue signal about the kind of projects you're doing and what kind of a difference we're really making here. Oh, this is great. Just we're environmental warriors is what we are. I've got my own shield. You make a shield out of a lid from a garbage can like Antifa does. The whole thing is just contrived and ridiculous. You want to say a park steward who plants trees and you're good with soil and you're good with fertilizer. I'm okay with that. Anything else along these lines is just absolutely absurd. Like this job is. It's just, despite the silly title, the job is a serious one. The job posting says the Tree Equity Initiative manager will manage a $12 million federal grant initiative to plan, prioritize, and coordinate activities. This is some heavy duty tree planting. $12 million. How many trees do you think could get planted? 4? Maybe 5? Because, California spent $24 billion and they can't really work out what it did to stop homelessness. Why would Seattle spending $12 million of federal taxpayers' money be much different? Maybe they get 6 trees out of it. Maybe they get 6 whole trees. What do you think? What's your bet? Let me know in the comments. How many trees will they get out of $12 million federal grant where you've got some joker who answers this and goes, oh, I could do that job. I was made for this job. But you've never hoisted a shovel in your life, right? I mean, that's who they're looking for. That's who they're looking for. They're looking for like the gardeners over at CHOP. Remember that? Where it was a wildly racist garden. It was only for people of color. Only for people of color. Whites need not apply. Need not apply. You guys are out of here. You guys are no good. You guys are the ones that are responsible for all this ridiculousness. Therefore, we can't have you eating. We can't have you breaking bread with us because essentially, the garden's racist. That was a real thing. That was a straight up 100% real thing. I've got video footage of that. It's on this YouTube channel. Yeah. Other people? Yeah. No good. Can't eat the lettuce. Can't harvest the carrots. Can't do any of that. No, sirree. Because you're part of the problem. And eventually that garden was ripped out by the city of Seattle and yeah, tough times. But don't worry. Maybe the Tree Equity Initiative manager will be able to find a spot where they can, recommit to their whatever it was, garden virtue signaling. That's it for me. That's enough of me ripping on this job posting. Seattle. What are you going to do, right? We're all living in this one community. Yeah, we hate the police. We love virtue signaling. All right. That's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. We'll catch up on the next one. Love to have you subscribe, do all that good stuff. I'll see you on the next episode. Bye for now.